guys, it's Glenn from Glenn'sCarCollection.com, and our top 7 countdown of the cars I drove in 2024 continues today, and this one's an easy one, with the BMW M6. And this isn't any M6 coupe, it's got a V10, and only does not have a V10, it's a 6-speed manual. Yes, 3 pedals in my favorite color, Interlagos blue. This was an easy one to get into the top 7, let me tell you. I had an E90 M3 V8 with a 6-speed manual as well in this color, Interlagos blue. All right, so we're going to do the countdown every Monday. We got 3 more cars left. This is number 4 in the top 7. The number 1 car of the year will be revealed December 30th, and it's any car reviewed this year, new or used. And remember, with YouTube Shorts, you get Glenn's Car Collection Tuesday through Sunday, so 7 days a week now, Monday full-length videos. Let's go. Hey guys, it's Glenn from Glenn'sCarCollection.com, and today I'm driving one of my dream cars. This is definitely a bucket list car for me. A BMW M6 with a V10 engine, and best of all, it's got a manual transmission. So this is known as the E63, the chassis code for the similar M5 for a V10 with being E60. So Interlagos blue, as you know if you follow the channel, my E90 was a manual with Interlagos blue with a slick top. This has a carbon fiber roof, it's got a carbon fiber interior, and most important is that V10 engine. Now, I've always wanted a V10 car. I mean, I have a V10 car, the R8, but I always wanted a BMW V10, an M6 or an M5. And though an M5 would probably fit my lifestyle better, 4 doors, I can use it more, I think the M6 looks so much better. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it in neutral. Now, this is a manual transmission car, which is pretty rare. They only made, I believe the number is in North America. Remember, a manual transmission wasn't available in Germany. In Germany, you only can get the SMG. So in 2006, the first model year, they were all SMGs. Americans, North America, petitioned BMW to come out with a manual, so they did it for the 07 model year. This is an 09, so it's an LCI update, and it's just a beautiful car. So let's start it. We have comfort access here where we can just press the start button, and let's listen to that V10. Ooh, wow. Now this has an exhaust there, so that's not the BMW warning light. What that is that it's cold. I believe if it's under 38 degrees, which it is today, it's 32, wow, it actually will give you that chime. So we're about to hit, probably on this drive, 67,000 miles. You can see the average gas mileage there was 12.5. I get a similar mileage on my Audi R8. Now again, production numbers where I was going with this. In North America, that's coupes and convertibles, and I think there's more stick convertibles than there are coupes. The number is 701. So not only just for North America, for the entire world. So remember, in Germany and Europe, they only got this car in SMG. And I believe it's 323, I think is the number for coupes, and like 370 or so for the convertibles. But we want to drive the coupe. Now, the convertible is known as the E64. All right, so we have a V10 engine here. It's 500 horsepower, 383 foot-pounds of torque. Now, unlike the M3s at the time, or like my M3, a lot of them didn't have navigation, so you had the single hump or double hump. The M5s or M6 navigation was standard, so you have the hump here, the iDrive system. The last model year was 2010, so this is almost at the end of the run, and it's very, very rare to have an 09 Interlagos blue with a gray interior. By the time they got to 09 or 010, there were very few manual transmissions. And I think most of the M6s, I think, are actually black. So we're going to take this for a nice drive, and then we'll have a conclusion. So should you meet your heroes, you see all the bad things about these cars, you know, rod bearings and engines going out. So here's an owner that recently bought his car. He did the rod bearings. I think the work he did was probably around 4,000 or so. Throttle actuators are still original, and we'll see after this drive, does this car live up to the hype? If you follow the channel, you know I've driven a 2010 M5 a few years ago, my friend Chris's car, and it was great. Even with the SMG, it was good when you had open roads or highway poles. It wasn't as good, you know, stoplight, going up hills, stuff like that. So it wouldn't be a good car for the school run, but it would be a great Sunday morning weekend car. So let's see how the M6 does. And now we're driving a manual transmission. So I've driven these cars plenty of times. Only SMG. I've never ever driven it with a manual, so I'm really excited to do that. There's actually almost like a valet mode here where the power mode it cuts it to 400 horsepower. I remember doing a test drive. This is first, right? I remember doing a test drive once of a convertible, and the salesman didn't realize that. I'm like, you know, this car wasn't as fast as I thought, and the reason why is we were driving in the 400 power mode, not the 500. Now, it revs to 8,000 RPM. Peak horsepower is about 77 100 RPM. So you do have to rev it to get that maximum horsepower. All right, so let's take the M6 on some turns here. It's about 3,800 pounds, so a little bit heavier. It's not much heavier than my E90 M3 was, but I could tell you that the suspension is softer, so there's more body roll. It's more of a luxury car, where I think you could easily track your E92 M3 like I did, but this car is probably more of a little more of a luxury car, more of an open road car, open highway car, you know, an Autobahn car. Now, I drove these when they were new. Wow. And this car kept up with everything. I drove this back-to-back with an F430 Ferrari, a Corvette. I guess it was a C6 Z06 at the time. And this car literally was just as fast. These cars are actually true 200-mile cars, this and the M5. Not too many cars can say they actually can go 200 miles an hour. Very easy to shift. Typical rubbery BMW no-feel shifter and clutch. But this, it sounds amazing. So this is an Eisenman race exhaust. Now this is a luxury car too, so it's got sound deadening in here. I would almost equate it to my R8. You know, with the windows up, it's pretty quiet. But when the window's down is when you really hear this exhaust, so we may have to try to find a couple underpasses where we can really hear it. Now, on a bumpy road like this, it's a very smooth car. This would definitely be smoother, more comfortable than it would be if you were in an E92. Now, are these good buys? Well, the owner of this car paid about 40 grand for this car, and it's worth every penny in my opinion, because Interlagos Blue definitely is going to have a higher resale value than, say, a black or silver car. So you will probably pay at least 5 grand more for that color. Who knows, maybe even more than that. And this car really, you really do feel like, you know, you're driving a Formula One V10. Now this car sounds more of a, this V10 sounds more of a race car than the V10 in my R8. I always watch videos on YouTube of these, you know, revving out these M5s and M6s. Now, I've driven these before, and usually if you drive it this way, you're gonna probably get 9 or 10 miles to the gallon. As you can see, this car is averaging 12.5 as a daily driver. Wow, that exhaust sounds amazing. Now we'll come up some tighter turns here and see how it does with the weight. You do have the electronic dampers, the EDC. You have the heads-up display. I don't know if that's coming through with the GoPro or not, but it gives you your speed, and it gives you sort of like a tachometer where your green, yellow, and red. Now we're going to have some tight S turns here. Brake pedal is a little soft, but again, these were more of luxury cars when they came out. Now these are steel brakes, not ceramic, on the new M5. Well, the M6 has been replaced by the M8, but if we're going by M5s, on the new M5 you can get ceramics. And I've driven a new M5 with ceramics, and I didn't like it at all. They were so squealy, the brakes, and very like, you hit the brake, your head almost goes through the windshield. Now what's good about this car, if we go, say, to 4th gear here at 40 miles an hour, it's really just another BMW. It's quiet in here, it's luxurious in here, car tracks nice and straight. Forget that exhaust for a second. If it was quiet, this could be like any other BMW 6 Series. And I have a video, I think it was a 645, not a 650, but that car drove great with the manual transmission. I love how the screen here, I like this whole design. I like this steering wheel, this 3-spoke here. It's nice and thick like an M steering wheel. What we'll do here, we'll take it up to the highway, and we'll do a little pull on the highway, and then we'll take another back road. So even though it has 383 foot-pounds of torque, you really have to rev it out to get that, to get the horsepower and get the torque. So it's not as torquey down low, say, as a modern M5 or M8 would be with the turbocharged 8 cylinders. it actually handles bumps and dips in the road very well. It's a rear drive car, so remember all that power is just going through the rear wheels. Great sound, amazing sound. And so far on the highway, it doesn't seem like we really have any drone too, which is great. Very easy to heel toe. And with some trail braking, the front end turns in pretty well. Now it feels very quick, because I think just how quickly the RPMs build. Obviously it's not, you know, 2.9 seconds or 3.1 like a modern M5, but those cars almost have like a cheat code because they're all-wheel drive cars, so they really have, they put the power down like you wouldn't believe. But this car actually puts it down pretty well. I'm impressed with just two wheels, with just rear-wheel drive. If you could stomach the gas mileage, you should drive this in the lower gears, second and third, as much as possible. So here's a good test of the weight with the tight turns. We're in second gear now. And the throttle's very responsive. Even at 3,000 RPM, I feel like I have a lot of throttle response where you really know that you're driving something special. The more I drive this car, the more I like this car. So should you meet your heroes? Yes. I mean, definitely you have to do maintenance on these cars. I think if you get a manual car, which is pretty rare. I know on the M5s it was about 10%, and it's very rare on the M6. You know, do the rod bearings, do the throttle actuators. Rod bearings are probably a must. If there's no record of it being done or it hasn't been done in a long time, you should probably do it. The throttle actuators, you know, won't kill your engine, kind of put you in a safe mode. The throttle actuators went out with like 38,000 miles on my E90 M3. So you can wait till that happens. Here, this car has about 67,000 and still has original throttle actuators, so go figure. But I think once you sink probably that 5 to 10 grand in this car, you really can have a car you can enjoy for a long time. And I think if you get these cars in manual, you don't have to worry about the SMG pump and the other normalities of that. And I think that the manuals are so rare, it'll hold its value. So I think these cars definitely, if they're 40,000 now, will definitely be probably $60,000 cars in the future. You might have to wait, you know, 5 or 10 years for it to get there, but basically my point is, you'll get that maintenance back, and it's well worth doing it. So you're not really doing this necessarily to make money, you're doing it to have a V10 manual car you can enjoy for a long time. All right, so let's get on the highway one more time, and we'll have a little area where there's no houses where we can accelerate a little bit. Now that was pretty much, for the most of it, was street legal speeds, and you see how quickly that car accelerated and how much fun you were having with the manual transmission, where you didn't have to be going 100 miles an hour to have fun. So just pulling on, you know, a highway going up to 65 or 70 or there-ish about, it was still so much fun to go through the gears, and I think that's what you're paying for with the manual transmissions, is that this car is going to drive the exact same way 20 years from now that it does today, right? If you buy the SMG car, yeah, maybe you can get it, you know, I don't know, fixed or something like that, and maybe you can get it reliable, but it's not going to feel as good 10 or 20 years from now when you step into that car compared to how good the transmissions are right now. But the manual transmission will drive the same in 2031 or whatever, to 100 years from now than they drive today. So even the highway exit ramps, again, it's probably like not your first choice because of the heaviest. Like I wouldn't do a track day with this. So one downside would be the weight of the car. But I mean, for a modern car, you know, that 3,800 pounds, 3,900 pounds, whatever it is actually light. You know, if you bought a new M5 today, it's like 4,200 pounds. And this is also a great car for Cars and Coffee. You're going to be the only one. You'll probably be the only V10 manual there. Now I have to trail brake a little bit to get that nose to turn in. There we go. And now we can even, so 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear, and let's see if we have any drone at that. Not really. I mean, it's good that I could hear the exhaust. It tells me that I have one. But I've had some cars where the drone was almost unbearable. You had to shift around it. So here we're kind of in the sweet spot of the zone of the drone, and you know, it's fine. That's another reason, you know, always get a high quality exhaust. Don't get like the cheapest exhaust possible. Get one high quality. You may pay $1,000 or $2 more, but it'll be well worth it. And it's worth something too. If you want to sell it, you can probably get 50 cents on the dollar. All right, so let's go to some of my other favorite turns. Downshift to second, nice and easy, easy to heel toe. Nice 992 convertible there. All right. Now, the more I drive this, the more I'm getting used to the handling. The handling, isn't as tight as a modern car, but it's not using the electronics of a modern car to do that. So there's still plenty of grip. I would say a ton of grip, considering it's a rear drive car. Now, the problem is anytime you want to have fun, and this is why you drive at 7 a.m., you get behind a Forester or Subaru, but otherwise, very impressed with this car. So conclusion, I think these cars are phenomenal cars. I would get a car in a stick shift. I mean, they're not bad in SMG, depending how you're going to use the car. Again, it's SMG 3, but 100% I would pay that extra 10 or 15 grand to get a manual car. You know, sink some money into it. What you do is reset the clock, right? So do the rod bearings, the actuators, anything that else needs to be fixed. Remember, it's still a 15-year-old car. So it's going to need something. Even if it was a 15-year-old Toyota Corolla, it's going to need something due to that age. And just keep on top of the maintenance, you know, use it when you can afford the gas. And I think you got a modern classic. They're not going to make any V10 manuals anymore. Even the R8 with that hasn't been a manual since 2015. They're getting rid of the V10 altogether. All these cars are going to be hybrid now or turbo V8, so a V10 manual is like money in the bank, and I definitely highly recommend that you buy one. Thanks again for watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.